What are the best prop bets to look at for Super Bowl 57 on FanDuel when it comes to the Chiefs and Eagles offensive players? It's time to break it down right here and right now as we begin another edition of Locked On Fantasy Football.
Are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NFL fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Locked On Fantasy Football Podcast. As usual, when I'm not doing this, I'm writing about NFL for sportingnews.com as well as fantasy football. And here it's time to break down Super Bowl 57 from the prop bet perspective. We did have the matchup there broken down for you, who's going to win the game, all that good stuff there with the total and prediction. And now it's time to get into the specific player props for the game. Look at the numbers there on FanDuel Sportsbook, where we want to go. A lot of fun to get in on the action on FanDuel, and we really recommend you check it out if you're in a state that allows it. It's going to be a lot of fun to get in on the action here in Super Bowl 57 because it's an offensive matchup. We love it that there's a lot of offensive firepower on the field between Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts and all their weapons. So what we'll do on the show, we'll look at the quarterback props involving Mahomes and Hurts. Then we'll turn our attention to the running back props. And then we'll close looking at the receiving props. We're going to be straight up football related here. We're not into the national anthem, that kind of stuff. We're not going to go weird. We're going to go with the information and knowledge we have from fantasy football with the players and their potential production based on the matchups of this game and what we learned when we broke down this game on both sides there for the offensive skill players. So we'll take a look at that here in a moment on the show. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free only at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. Check it out. LinkedIn Jobs is going to get you the hires that you need for your winning team here in 2023. All right, thanks for making Locked On Fantasy Football your first listen every day. We're free and available to you on all platforms. We're coming to you not far from the site of Super Bowl 57. I'm here with Sporting News there to break it down. So here, very, very close to where all the players are, and I've seen all these players, and I did tell them if we're looking for props to pay off, come through for us on Sunday. So let's break it down here for you with the quarterbacks. Before I do that, just a general bet here. The longest touchdown, and this is related to one of the quarterbacks, I think it's going to come from the Eagles. I think it's going to be a long touchdown pass from Jalen Hurts to A.J. Brown. So I'm going to minus 115 on FanDuel there for the props for longest TD, whether it's Eagles or Chiefs. Going with the Eagles there. Now, Jalen Hurts, I'm also going to tie him to the MVP award. Now, both Mahomes and Hurts are at plus 130, so it said, okay, just go with Mahomes. He's the best quarterback in this game and go there. But if I like the Eagles to win the game, and we have the score being 31-27, we're going to play off that as well to correlate to the game pick and the Eagles covering that small spread of around 1.5 to 2 points. I would say that makes the Eagles win, and he usually goes to a quarterback. So going with all that, I have Jalen Hurts as my pick for MVP at plus 130 with the running and passing. So Patrick Mahomes about to win regular season MVP, but I think Jalen Hurts will be the man in terms of the game MVP in this one. I'm not going any deeper than that. I don't think they're going to reward a non-quarterback. If it's tight between some other guys, I could see maybe A.J. Brown winning if he has a big game, but Hurts is going to have to facilitate that. I think he'll also do well on the ground and help Devonta Smith have a big game as well. So a little bit of a foreshadowing there for what we like in the receiving core. But Jalen Hurts plus 130 for MVP. I also like Patrick Mahomes there to have more rushing attempts or passing attempts, I should say. Definitely not going to have more rushing attempts, but looking at the passing attempts, minus 300. So that's what everyone expects here. But just take it. I think it's definitely going to happen here. This is a team that is more likely to be pass happy. The Eagles could also be playing from ahead with their defense. So you're just looking at Mahomes versus Hurts in terms of pass attempts. It's not necessarily getting the high number because I can't tell you the exact number, but I think Mahomes will at least throw the ball more than Hurts in this one. So minus 300 there for Patrick Mahomes. I also like Jalen Hurts more than 1.5 TDs. That's at minus 106 here. So Jalen Hurts, I'm locking him in to have at least 2 touchdown passes this game. His passing total is interesting, and you can maybe put those together. But 1.5 TDs. So I like AJ Brown to find the end zone. So we're halfway there to hitting this. And I think they'll find another one here, whether it's Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert, one of the other players out of the backfield. Maybe it's a running back. So I'm really feeling Jalen Hurts more / over 1.5 TDs in this one at minus 106. There, Jalen Hurts 238.5 is the passing number for him here. It's at minus 110 either way you look at it. So I'm going over on the passing yards. I think it's a little too low for Jalen Hurts, especially if we're connecting it again to AJ Brown having a big game, having the longest TD. You could get maybe close to a third of the way there if you have a 65, 75-yard touchdown happen to AJ Brown working off for the play action, throwing it deep. So you're already there. Again, Mahomes is on the other side, so he's going to push Hurts to throw a little bit more in this game. The Eagles have to go a little bit back and forth, try to build a lead, jump out to a hot start. So they're going to be aggressive with Hurts in the passing game, especially with the Chiefs maybe being contained in the pass rush in the middle of Chris Jones. They're not as good at getting the quarterback without blitzing. If they blitz, that'll open up those deep shots to either Brown or Smith. So Hurts is going to throw a little bit more, so I do like it. Over 1.5 TDs at minus 106 and over 238.5 passing yards at minus 110. Patrick Mahomes also, let's look at that, 1.5 TDs at minus 192. And his passing yardage total set at 294.5 at minus 110. You can guess where I'm going there. Given the score of this game, where I have it well with the over 31-27, and you look at Mahomes, there's a good chance he's going to throw in 2 TDs, and that's just going to happen here and go there. But I'm feeling it here, Mahomes, 1.5. I'm going plus over 1.5 TDs there, minus 192. So I think they'll get 2 touchdowns through the air and 1 on the ground here. So that's how I'm breaking it down for the Chiefs. You look at Mahomes, over 294.5 passing yards. I like that too. I think he hits 300. And that will also relate to having more attempts than Jalen Hurts in this game. He's going to have to throw a lot and shorter passes here, playing off the running game against that Eagles pass rush. So high volume of passing. I think the Chiefs will run a little bit more than we expect, but still, I think Mahomes still pushes for 300 yards. He's going to get there with that. And again, I like Jalen Hurts because of the resistance from Mahomes either side. It's going to push both these guys to have those numbers go up. So that's what you're looking for, a little bit of back and forth. So 238.5 for Hurts, 294.5 for Mahomes. I like both of them here. So there you have it. There's a look at the key quarterback passing props there that we like with the overs on FanDuel Sportsbook. We will get into the running back props and what Hurts and Mahomes are set at on the ground here for the game in Super Bowl 57. We'll do that in our next segment. We told you at the top that this episode of Locked On Fantasy Football is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. And as a small business owner or hiring manager, you know that success in 2023 all depends on the team members that you surround yourself with. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. With LinkedIn Jobs, you can hire qualified candidates more efficiently by matching open roles with people who have skills, values, and experiences to help you achieve your goals. And it's important. NFL teams operate the same way, needing the right teams in place, whether it's coaching staff or the personnel on the field to get it done. And it's a tightly knit unit. And that's what you need to get for your small business. And LinkedIn Jobs is going to help you get there by helping you quickly attract qualified candidates to your open jobs and targeting tools. They combine resume data by using insights from your job post, company, and their 875 million member profiles to put your post in front of the most qualified candidates. Identify the most qualified candidates on LinkedIn Jobs and connect them fast and for free with your business. It's fantastic to trust someone like that. And really, LinkedIn Jobs is going to make it easy to screen and rate applicants based on your job qualifications all in one platform. It's why small business rate LinkedIn Jobs #1, delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at LinkedIn.com/LockedOnNFL. That's LinkedIn.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. All right, it is time to continue the show here on Locked On Fantasy Football. We're going to look at the running back props. So let's start with the rushing yards. Miles Sanders, 61.5 at minus 110 here on FanDuel Sportsbook. I am going for the under on Miles Sanders. I think they're going to involve a little bit more Kenneth Gainwell. So not to spoiler alert there, but 61.5, they just won't trust Miles Sanders as much. And you look at the Chiefs, a pretty good run defense. So I think they'll contain Sanders a little bit. We'll see a little bit of Gainwell used, maybe a little Boston Scott as well here. So they're going to be judicious with his work. Now, Sanders could easily score a touchdown. We don't want that to happen based on where our props are doing, but he has scored that way in many ways. So I look at Miles Sanders, the scoring a little bit better that way than his yardage. So again, no long touchdowns from Sanders. I think a short touchdown is in the works, but we're going under that 61.5 rushing total. I just don't like it here for Sanders. Now, as far as we go with Isiah Pacheco, the best power runner for the Chiefs, he's at 46.5 minus 110. We're taking the over on that easily. I think he gets 60 to 70 rushing yards in this game. I like that number being below 50 for sure. Again, I just don't think this is going to be a big running team for any individual that isn't the quarterback. And quarterback also limited in relation to the volume that we're getting in this game. So when we're looking at Sanders and Pacheco, I think they'll use Pacheco more than we think for the Chiefs side, but not outrageous, and it's a good number there. I think Sanders is also too high at 62, given they can get the committee 61.5, I should say. But when you're looking at it, I do like the Chiefs to run a little bit more effectively with their lead power back, while the Eagles don't hand it as much to Sanders in this game. Now, that would say that Jerick McKinnon, in correlation with that, 19.5, rushing yards, I think it's under for Jerick McKinnon. They're not going to use him much in the rushing attack. We've seen that of late as Pacheco's gained some steam in the playoffs. So, yeah, easy number there. Then Kenneth Gainwell, same thing, 19.5. We're going over that for minus 110 in relation to Miles Sanders. So, easy to connect all those dots there with the running backs in this game. Now, we'll get into one more running back prop I have, but let's look at the rushing totals here for Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes. Jalen Hurts is at 49.5. I mean, that is a low number. To have Sanders that big at 61.5, but Hurts maybe undervaluing a little bit, so he gets involved a little bit more. I think Hurts is going to begin. Again, if we think he's going to win MVP, he's going to have to put the ball in the air and have success. He's going to have the ground be successful. So I see it as 2 touchdowns to the air, 1 on the ground, and good complementary. So I see Jalen Hurts. I think it'll be close because that 49.5 is a good number, but I could easily see it being around 50, 55. We'll take it. That's all we need here to complement the more than 238.5 on the over there for his passing yards in the game. Now, Patrick Mahomes, his number with that bad ankle, 19.5 at minus 104. Now, think about the Eagles' pass rush here. They're going to flush him out quite a bit. I think Mahomes is going to want to prove that he can extend some play, but 19.5 is not a lot in terms of the rushing yardage there. I think he can get there with 2 to 3 scrambles easily in this one. So I do like that. Again, the pass rush is going to force him out to make some plays with his leg. I think the ankle is going to be healthy to hold up. He's going to have to run away from a few sacks when he's not being able to stay behind the line of scrimmage and extend a play that way. He's going to have to extend it going forward here. So I think he gets 3 to 4 rushes really in this game, and I think he cracks 20 yards in this one. So do like the 2 rushing props at much different levels. I mean, you got 30 more yards that Hurts has to get versus Mahomes, but I do still feel like either is in the threshold. And how about Kenny Gainwell at plus 118 to have more receiving yards than Isiah Pacheco? I think that definitely happens. I mean, Pacheco is a runner. Gainwell does get involved. He's going to run a little bit behind Sanders to cut into Sanders' total, but he's also the premier pass catcher. Sanders does not do that. They'll involve Gainwell more. So Gainwell definitely more than Pacheco, plus 118 there on FanDuel Sportsbook. So good stuff all around. We have a few more to get into there. Now, in terms of the anytime touchdowns on the ground, I do like Some good action here for Jalen Hurts. He's always a good bet there. I do also like Isiah Pacheco on the ground at plus 135. So if I'm going with the two guys to score most in this game, I think it's Hurts and Pacheco. And third, we talked about Miles Sanders not having enough rushing yards, and hopefully he doesn't have a long touchdown, but we'll take a short one. That has been the case here in the playoffs from Sanders at plus 120. So on the ground, I'm looking at Hurts plus 100, Sanders plus 120, Pacheco plus 135 as your anytime touchdowns for rushing here in Super Bowl 57. We will close the show looking at the receiving numbers that you want to look at for the key receivers in this game, as well as the potential receiving scores in this one as well. So we will break that down in our final segment here as we look at FanDuel Sportsbook best bets. And we're also talking FanDuel Sportsbook because we're really excited that Locked On Network is on board with FanDuel here. It's the only app you need for your Super Bowl party, America's #1 sportsbook. That's why we're really excited about our new sports betting partner, FanDuel. If you're new to FanDuel, that's even better. They have so many great features that make betting on sports so fun and easy, especially a big event where you want to get in the action like Super Bowl 57. So a lot of good stuff. We talked about the prop bets. We talked about how we like the game to go over the total as well as the Eagles to cover that small spread in this one. Download FanDuel now so you can bet Super Bowl 57 with a no sweat first bet. You'll get up to $3,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. FanDuel lets you bet on everything from the money line to point spreads to, of course, who will score a touchdown. We're excited about that. With the props with yardage and scoring, the FanDuel Sportsbook app is safe, secure, and super easy to use. Best of all, you can get paid your winnings instantly. So it'll be great. Super Bowl 57, you lock in your props and other wagers, and you're good to go. You'll be sitting there in the money there with your action. Now, we've talked about how easy it is to play, so just join FanDuel today at FanDuel.com/locked-on to claim your no-sweat first bet on Super Bowl 57. That's a FanDuel.com/locked-on. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, it is time to close the show here, looking at our receiving props for Super Bowl 57, according to FanDuel Sportsbook. That's where we're getting the numbers. Travis Kelce, 79.5 here. I do like him to hit that over. He's going to be busy in this game, no matter what the Eagles try to do, double team, single cover. They're just so good on the outside with their cornerbacks, Darius Slay and James Bradbury. I talked to Slay, and he said they're not going to change up things. They're not going to do some wacky thing where they put Slay on Kelce. I mean, we're going to take his word for it. Of course, they could mix things up, but it's not in the Eagles' nature to change the rules for Slay and Bradbury. They're going to keep them on the outside. That's what they do best. That's why they both made the All-Pro team. So they're not going to mess with this inside. So a little bit of an insider there in the matchup. But you do have TJ Edwards. He's a pretty good cover corner. We've seen it. CJ Gardner-Johnson's been pretty good at safety, but Travis Kelce just too good, and he's going to get a high volume from Mahomes, 79.5, going over that yardage total, as well as the anytime touchdown, minus 120. It's pretty low, but he's Kelce. He scores. They're going to look in the red zone. I'll take it. So maybe combine those to make the odds a little bit sweeter there with Kelce or/over 79.5 receiving yards, as well as plus minus 120 for that touchdown. That'll hedge your bets a little bit with that and improve your payout with the Kelce combination there with the parlay. I also like another one that would be A.J. Brown, 72.5, going over with that with the receiving yards. I believe A.J. Brown's going to have a big game. He's overdue. He can split double teams. He's a big playmaker downfield. It's a young secondary. He's physical. He's strong. He's fast. This is going to give the Chiefs a lot of problems. So 72.5, I'm going more with that for the receiving yardage for A.J. Brown. I also like him at plus 120 for any time touchdown. And guess what, folks? I think he can get that on one play. Yes, I could see a situation where the Eagles take a deep shot, 75 yards off a touchback on a first possession, gets that, you're set either way. A very Gabe Davis-like effect here for A.J. Brown. Arthur Juan Brown, as he's more formally known. I like him to come through for sure this week. And really love the matchup overall. And again, Brown is just so overdue. What can Brown do for you? He can find the end zone on a long play and really pay off in Super Bowl 57. Again, you look at the other side. I mean, you have Trent McDuffie, you have Joshua Williams, you got Jalen Watson. L'Jarius Sneed is more of a slot cover guy. No one can hang with Brown and we've seen him destroy double teams. See the Titans game, his revenge game. So love A.J. Brown to get going. I also like Jalen Hurts to get going on the ground, as we mentioned. So when we're looking at it with my prediction of 31-27, I'm seeing touchdowns through the air. I don't know who the second one will go to, but Hurts is going to get it done with Brown at least once, and Hurts is going to score at least once. So I feel good about that on the ground as well as Sanders. Now, how about who else do I like to score on the Chiefs side? Well, we said Isiah Pacheco is a good bet at plus 135 for an anytime touchdown. Travis Kelce, lock him in. If I have the score 31-27, that would imply 3 touchdowns, 2 Harrison Butker field goals from the Chiefs. So one more touchdown we need to look for. I'm going Kadarius Toney for an anytime touchdown plus 370. It's a good value. Now, Marcus Valdes-Scantling is at plus 250, and he scored and he's been very active in the playoffs, but I just don't want to go with MVS again. I just think he's a big play target. You also have 2 very good corners on the outside. MVS is an outside receiver. I think Slay and Bradbury shut that down a little bit. Juju Smith-Schuster, I'm not sure how healthy he is. Kadarius Toney's a new toy, plus 370. That's why I like it. The number, I mean, it's higher there with the odds and the payout that you're going to get with Juju Smith-Schuster, Marcus Valdes-Scantling. So why not go the farthest? We're not saying go deep for Justin Watson or Sky Moore, but go for their really 4th receiver behind Kelce. But Kelce definitely scores at minus 120. I like Kadarius Toney as the best value of those guys at plus 370. Now, if I had to go with someone, if I'm basing it on the fact that the Eagles have 4 touchdowns game, 2 on the ground, 1 from Hurts, 1 from Sanders, and then 1 in the air through Brown, they got to find someone else to score. I think Devonta Smith's a good candidate, but Dallas Goedert has also been coming strong, and you get a little bit better odds on Goddard. So that's where I would go here if I'm extending to another touchdown score there. So Dallas Goedert, we didn't mention him too much. I would stay away from everything else with his receiving yards here. I just don't know how he's going to factor in after A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. So I would say he has a better shot to score, however, than Smith. In terms of the yardage, Joe, 63.5. I'm going the over on Devonta Smith in Super Bowl 57. I think these receivers are going to have a big game, and we mentioned the youth of the secondary, Snead being more of a slot guy. Otherwise, you're looking at 3 rookies there, McDuffie, Watson, and Williams. They've held up well, but this test is unlike any other. You have Brown, a supreme speed, physical force. You got Devonta Smith, a technical route runner, can get open with his own brand of quickness and make big plays. So 63.5. So, yeah, this is where a majority of the yards are going to come here. So that's why I'm avoiding Goddard except for the scoring in this one. And looking at Smith there playing off Brown. So 63.5. So I think both Eagles receivers go off in this game. The matchup is that good against the Chiefs secondary in Super Bowl 57. So there you have it. There's a breakdown there of the FanDuel Sportsbook prop bets that you want to look at across quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends in Super Bowl 57. So some action to think about there as you're examining getting in on FanDuel Sportsbook. Maybe you have that no sweat first bet to get involved. So time to just take advantage of that, and knowing that you have the backup of the extra money that you would have there in your account. So check that out. Make it happen here on your FanDuel Sportsbook fund for Super Bowl 57. Thanks so much for listening to Locked On Fantasy Football and making us your first listen every day. Subscribe to Locked On NFL Podcast and get daily conversation on the biggest NFL stories, plus in-depth analysis of the biggest games and NFL key predictions every Friday. And Monday, local insiders cover the weekend with game-to-game episodes. So we'll have a good prediction finally with all our picks. I'll have my pick involved there as well as we break it down for you on Locked On Fantasy Football across the network. And Monday, we'll hear a lot about what happened in the game from Locked On Chiefs and Locked On Eagles. Locked On NFL available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. For Locked On Fantasy Football, this has been Vinnie Iyer. We'll come back tomorrow looking at DFS. Yes, we have more talk of Super Bowl 57. One more show there looking at DFS. We're playing FanDuel cash games, DraftKings tournaments, or our price picks of the week. A lot of good stuff there that you're going to look at to close the week. So had a lot of fun breaking down Super Bowl 57 with you today. Have a good rest of your Thursday, and we'll check you out there to close the show and our look at Super Bowl 57 on Friday.